I'm here inside the Arts Club review stage talking with Hugh Hughes, who's now starring in Push Festival's production of Floating. So, Hugh, I read that the character of Hughes emerged from a best man speech. Could you elaborate a bit on this?
Absolutely. I mean, the first thing to say, I suppose, is that the character of Hugh Hughes isn't really a character. It's me. I'm Hugh. It's just that once I made the play, it starts to become confusing, because if you're saying you're making a play, you're expecting to find characters. So basically, anyway, I hope that kind of clears that up. What happened was, about 6 or 7 years ago, I was asked by my friend to make a best man speech, and I discovered by writing the speech for him how much enjoyment there was in sharing personal stories about our friendship. And I also enjoyed the fact that it was very clear and obvious to me why I was telling the stories and who I was telling the stories to. And so then I suppose the idea of making a theatre show became more tangible somehow, because until I made this show Floating, I'd never made one. But when Sean asked me to make this show, I was thrilled, because I kind of immediately understood how to do it, because as long as I understood who the audience was and why I was telling them this story, I would be able to, manage to produce the piece. And so that's basically what I'm doing with Floating, is I'm basically informing people about an event that happened back in April 1982, when the Isle of Anglesey floated away from the mainland of Wales. So it's very clear why I'm telling the story, because it's an event that not many people know about. And I know who they are. I mean, they're people who have come to listen to the story, who are interested in the information. So it's very clear, really.
What can your audience expect from this production in Vancouver?
When you talk about what an audience expects and then what an audience actually gets, I suppose there, in that formula there, in that equation lies, the whole idea of coming to the theatre in the first place, as in, you'd never quite know what you're going to get. And when you purchase the ticket, I suppose the idea is that you're kind of throwing, some kind of idea of letting go of something, as in, you're taking some kind of a risk, I suppose is what I mean. And I think what happens when you buy a ticket for Floating is that by the end of having seen it, you then have to understand what it is that you've bought. And what you've bought is an experience we hope that you won't really get anywhere else, because what we do is we work very much in the room, in the space of the theatre. We're working directly with the audience. Every show is significantly different from the other. You will have a pretty much bespoke, tailor-made show for you, although of course we're always telling the same story to each audience. Most often what people say when they come out is they've had a really wonderful time. They felt part of a community for a brief moment, and they felt connected. And some people say they feel very happy as well, uplifted, some people say. So I hope that's what an audience will get when they purchase the ticket. But at the same time, I do think it's important to remember, when you buy a ticket for a theatre show, you don't know what you're going to get. And that's all, the wonderful nature of anyone buying a ticket for any event that they haven't ever seen before.
Well, it sounds like an experience to experience. Thanks, Hugh, for taking the time to meet with me. And you'll be this year's Push Festival on Granville Island at the review stage. Thank you for your time.
Thank you also.